You're listening to Real Talk Texas with local expert Steve Hakes. Now, here's Steve.
Welcome back. Today we've got Alicia Trevino and Tom Greico of Greico Homes in Dallas and Alicia Trevino, Century 21 in Uptown. And they're in the studio today discussing mid-century modern homes and design by Greico Homes. And what I'd like to do at this point is really kind of, Alicia, you're the real estate expert. And
Yes,
yes, you are. And I would just like to have you ask from a consumer standpoint as you're guiding people through the process, and how would you get somebody engaged with Tom's firm if you're really thinking about building a house, which I think in this urban area is a little more difficult than maybe out and where Argyle or something like that, where there's plenty of land to build on. How's this go?
Well, when you're building a custom home, you definitely need some guidance because you don't know where to start. So knowing a reputable builder is probably one of the most important things. And so I was very excited to hear that Tom was coming on the show because it is, first of all, very hard to find someone who understands mid-century modern. It's a new buzzword. And so I'm excited to hear. Now, how did you get started again?
I went to architecture school in UT at Arlington. Great school. I had an acquaintance of one of my teachers in high school was a home builder. And started me up. And
so you've been doing this forever?
Forever.
That's really great because really and truly, when I send someone over to a builder, normally I introduce them, and then you do what?
Well, we sit down. We have the initial meeting. We sit down and kind of get a feel for the people, their personalities, what their driving factors are, is why they're moving, why they want to build, what the importance things are to them, if it's school district or if it's an urban location. And just what it is they're looking for and what their dream is.
Okay. And we had discussed earlier how finding a lot is really important because of the price point that you're in and finding the exact lot. So you actually go out and do that for the client?
Well, we narrow it down. We use a person much like yourself in a lot of cases. And we kind of narrow it down to neighborhoods. And depending upon if it's a school district that they're trying to get into or if it's they like the idea of walking, or there's certain hobbies they have, or they have dogs and they want to be in an area that caters to dogs. Mm-hmm. But we will go out and search the neighborhoods for properties. And really what we're looking for is properties that are priced right, that you can remove the house, build a new one back, and still not be over the top of the neighborhood.
And that is a process. A lot of people, they come with that fear, like, I don't want to do this because it's so difficult. But you kind of take that task on so that they don't have to worry about it, correct?
Correct. And it is really quite easy. A lot of people are stuck with the scraping the lot, and they perceive that removing a house is a very expensive process, when in reality it's really not that bad at all.
Sounds like fun.
It's a little traumatic, though.
Well, how much does it cost if I went into an area and I wanted to remove a house? In my mind, I'm thinking $100,000 to take down a house.
Typically, we've been paying between $5,000 and $10,000, depending upon the size of the house. And it's what is so amazing about it is it's probably a 4-hour process. They come in the morning, and within 45 minutes, the house is a big pile in the middle of the yard. But keep in mind, though, they do go through prior to that, and they salvage all the hardwood floors. They salvage anything in the house that is worth pulling out.
Yeah. Sounds like a scene from an Extreme Home Makeover or something. Yeah. The other concern is, and it's a big one, people will come to me, and unlike when you go and buy a home and you go into a subdivision, there's a model, okay? It's very different. The financing portion of it. Where do you go to get the money? Because I know that's very different than just walking into a model home and saying, I want to buy this one, then they start building you a home.
True. And the financing is a huge part of it. We will refer them
to Steve.
Steve.
We make it easy at Affiliated Bank. We really do. And what we do is we also take the risk out of it. So what we do is a one-time close. So you come in, you decide, you write your contract to build the property. You're going to do your closing, put your down payment down, all those things at the very beginning. All that money to demolish the old home, sure, that's all part of the construction costs, right? So that's all put in there. And we basically put all the closing costs in, and there's a couple different options as far as whether you're paying interest during the build or not. You have to be pretty strong situation where we would carry that interest. Normally you pay just interest only, and you only pay it as the money's drawn down. That's a normal program, but we do have for special circumstances where you can roll that in. So you're not making any payments until you actually are done with the house. And then at the end, basically at that point, you're going from a construction loan, which is very different. Then all of a sudden we modify you. Once the house is done, they have a green tag that says, yeah, you can move in. At that point, we look at the market, we lock your rate in, and we can do any program that's out there we can modify you into, whether it's an ARM, 15-year, 25-year, 30-year, any of those combinations, we move you into that loan. So we just make that really easy for you. So just know when you send your clients over, Tom, they'll be taken care of, and we make the process easy.
A lot of the questions that we get asked is actually about the allocation of funds. They're not really, since they've never really been involved in construction lending or construction, they want to know if after they get that loan, if you just write me one big check and I build the house and all. And I assure them that there are processes that go through. What is it?
Typically what we do is there'll be a draw. There's like 5 draws or 3 draws. It's really kind of set up with you in the bank, and we sit down and say, okay, here's how long it's going to take to build it. The longer, the more draws. The shorter period of time, the fewer draws. So and we send an inspector out. You say you've got it framed. We're going to send the appraiser back out and do an inspection and say, or we'll send a bank officer out and say, okay, yeah, it's framed. And then we release the funds.
And I've gone through this process, and I know how it is. And it is scary to think, okay, I don't have time to do this, but it's not as hard as it sounds. You get all the receipts, and usually the builder's the one who provides them. You send them over to you, and you go ahead and do the construction draw, and you send it to the builder. So it doesn't seem as difficult.
Well, and also what the nice part about it is for the consumer is that they know there is a step of protection in there where the bank is actually going out and visiting the property to see that, yes, the foundation's actually there or the roof is actually on.
And I bet most of your clients are out there driving by that property every week anyway, so they know that the framing's up, right?
Every week, every day.
Every day.
Well, we really encourage them to be on the job just for the fact that it's a whole lot easier to modify things if you catch it early, or if they want to add a window, it's a lot easier to add it when it's just stud walls and when we're already finished the house.
And I will tell you, I've built 2 houses in my lifetime, and Dana and I are thinking about building another house maybe in the next 5 years, and it is fun. I really think as a consumer, if you have the right builder,
and
you
right
click with that builder to where I think it's so important that they get to know you. Versus going with a track home, it's a lot different. You don't really have any controls. With some custom builders, they're control freaks and they don't want to listen to you. So I think the interview process with the builder is pretty important.
Well, absolutely. We typically find people that will have visited or intend to visit 2 or 3 different builders. And really, it's a relationship that you have with someone that they understand that you see their vision to start with, that you're capable of doing the project and that you have a vision of your own that you can bring to the table.
Now, let me ask you a question. So, are you the actual architect?
I am the designer of my projects, yes.
And this is very unusual because most builders aren't the architect. They usually hire an architect to come in to draw the vision, whereas you actually see it.
That's actually the fun part. And part of the fun, or the part of the satisfaction for me, is actually envisioning something and drawing it on a napkin one night and then 6 months later walking through it. It's very cool.
I did a home development, so I work with several custom home builders. And what I would see is an architect would have a vision, and then the builder would come in here and go, okay, that's great, but it doesn't work. You can't pitch the roof that high, or that's not a load-bearing wall, or you can't put a window in this spot. So you wouldn't have those kinds of problems because when you design it, it can be built.
Absolutely. And we also design from a standpoint of knowing what the people's budget are, what it is that they are comfortable spending. And so you actually design to that. So you're not introducing items that they can't possibly afford in their house. And then you're also trying to take local materials. You're trying to take locally available product and work it into the house in a way that it appeals and it looks to be worth far more than it is.
Well, I want to give our listeners a chance to get a hold of you guys. So if you're interested in getting in touch with Alicia, Tom, or myself, just go ahead and pull out your cell phone. The number is 817-925-2546. That's 817-925-2546. Send a text to the show. Let us know what you need, and we'll put you in touch with the right people. You're listening to Real Talk Texas, and we've got Tom Greico of Greico Homes. How do you get a hold of you, Tom?
Facebook is Greico Modern Homes. It's great. A bunch of photos, a bunch of renderings, just some cool stuff. And then also we're on the web. We're at GreicoHomes.com.
And Alicia, how do they get a hold of you?
You can go to AliciaTrevinoUptown.com.
Okay, great. And as always, you can go to stevehakes.com, or you can go to Real Talk Texas to reach me for your financing needs. After the break, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how do you get into the neighborhoods, and what kind of designs you're doing today, and how, Alicia, you can help people through that process as well. So stay tuned. We're talking about building a new house in Dallas.
When I was